Coming up on Valley View News, CSUN students celebrate Native American culture at the Annual Powwow Festival. Plus, the final addition to our special report, How Religion Saved an Ex-Gang Member from His Drug Addiction. And a new trend in video games could be addicting kids to gambling.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Luis Zuniga.
And I'm Ricardo Sandoval.
19 people left a cruise ship at the Port of Los Angeles after getting sick. The LA Fire Department says passengers reported flu-like symptoms. One passenger was diagnosed with acute gastroenteritis. The cruise ship company says it's still investigating the situation.
AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, remains a major global problem. The White House commemorated World AIDS Day by hanging a red ribbon. Most AIDS-related deaths happen in regions where people don't have access to good medical treatments. Scientists still haven't found a vaccine for AIDS, but some scientists are looking for simpler treatments, while others are searching for a cure to completely eliminate the virus.
Some CSUN housing students had a rough Thanksgiving. First-floor students in Building 17 say their room was flooded last week. The holiday break slowed down repairs. One student said all problems were resolved by Monday, but many backpacks and school books were damaged. A CSUN housing representative said they were unaware of the flooding and did not want to give a statement until they found out more on the subject.
Finals start next week at CSUN. The Claude Student Health Center and the OVL Library have planned almost 2 weeks of events to help deal with final stress. They range from arts and crafts to therapy dogs. Students can also get free final survival kits. The kits include scantrons, pencils, and even stress balls. Some students share what they are doing to prepare for finals.
I am having a study group and I'm studying on my own with worksheets and past homework.
I think we're okay because we have the Oasis Center, and if you're really stressed, you could go there, or I know there's pets that they bring on campus that if you're stressed you could just go and pet them. So I think the school does a good job when it comes to finals.
The Valley View News team wishes all Matadors good luck. You got this.
CSUN hosted its 36th annual powwow last weekend, a Native American celebration that brought many people together. Valley View News reporter Ana Ramos has more on the story.
With drums beating loudly and feet stomping, people came together last Saturday to celebrate the 36th annual powwow at Cal State Northridge. It was sponsored by the American Indian Studies program. A powwow is a social gathering where different Native American tribes perform dances and songs. Master of Ceremony Randolph Pico educated and even got people to join the arena.
People have adopted a specific set of about a dozen dance styles, and they dance to those dance styles, and they sing either from a northern style or a southern style.
The powwow starts with something called guard dancing, a grand entry, and later followed by traditional dances. One dance is the fancy shawl dance. Ashley Martinez has been dancing it for 5 years and says,
"It's jumping on your tippy toes and twirling, a lot of twirling, and you're imitating like a hummingbird. For me, it's a dragonfly."
The outfits are traditional regalia. They're often handmade and decorated with colorful feathers, jingle bells, sparkles, and other accessories. But attending a powwow is more than seeing traditional dances and outfits. For some, it's a special day to connect with their roots.
As a little girl, I used to go with my dad, and I remember me and my brother running around, and I feel like I never really, even when I stopped going for a couple of years, I always just had the memory.
The American Indian Studies program at CSUN will host the 37th annual powwow next year to continue bringing Native and non-Native American communities together. In Northridge, I'm Ana Ramos for Valley View News.
Thousands of Southern California Edison customers were without power after a strong snowstorm hit the area. The communities of Twin Peaks, Green Valley Lake, Crestline, Running Springs, and Lake Arrowhead were affected. Crews continue to work on the problem. Meanwhile, some people left their freezing homes for warmer places.
Cal State San Bernardino held a memorial to remember the terrorist attack that killed 14 people. Syed Farouk and his wife Tashfeen Malik gunned down several people at a Christmas party. Police arrived later and killed the two attackers. This week marks the 4-year anniversary of the attack.
The LGBT community continues its fight for representation and acceptance. Sometimes the battle is within a person's own family, as Valley View News reporter Salvin Rodas explains.
2019 is the historic year for the LGBT community as they celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall that marked the birth of the modern LGBT movement. But there are still many who's fighting for acceptance, especially for their loved ones. Even though we are living in a country known as the land of free, not everybody's free to do what makes them happy. This is the case of Josue Silva, a Salvadorian American who moms reacts the idea of him being gay.
She's not okay with it. In fact, she struggles with it. She still says things like,
you will marry a woman, you will have 3 children, you will have a family.
Josue says that he will get married and have children, but not in a traditional way. Besides, he says that his mom doesn't feel comfortable when she sees gay people on TV.
And I think I notice it more with media because, there'll be lesbians or there'll be gay people on TV and she'll be like, oh, well, not going to watch this show anymore.
Maggie Chivrar is a psychology professor who knows firsthand the negative reaction parents may have to their children's coming out, says 2 key factors can play a role in the reaction. The first one being religion.
There are some religions that are very explicit about homosexuality being a sin.
The second one being a shame.
I think that parents unthinkingly deal with the shame by pushing it away, which means they push their children away.
And according to a research by GLAAD, a pro-LGBT organization, people ages 18 through 34 are more uncomfortable with LGBT people in personal situations. On the other hand, 8 out of 10 Americans say they support equal rights for the LGBT community. That's all from me. Back to you in the studio.
Montgomery, Alabama unveiled a statue honoring civil rights icon Rosa Parks. The statue recognizes the 64th anniversary of Parks' refusal to give up her seat to a Caucasian man on a public bus. Montgomery Mayor Stephen Reed and Alabama Governor Kay Ivey presented the statue in front of 400 people. Reed says he hopes the statue inspires future generations to push for equality.
A massive winter storm forced New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to declare a statewide emergency. 7 counties are included.
Ulster County, Schenectady County, Saratoga, Rensselaer County, Greene County, Columbia, and Albany County. Declaration of a state of emergency allows more flexibility for the state government working with the local governments to make sure we can deploy resources where we need to deploy resources.
The entire East Coast was hit by the harsh weather. Nearly all schools and government offices were closed in New York State. More than a foot of snow fell in the capital of Albany.
The Supreme Court heard arguments involving gun regulation in New York City. It's been nearly a decade since the court has heard a gun-related case. New York State and New York City have some of the toughest gun regulations in the country. Several gun owners and the NRA attended the arguments. They're challenging regulations on keeping handguns at home. Arguments lasted an hour before the court. Court watchers think the justices are divided on the issue. In 2008, the court ruled that the Second Amendment right to bear arms is an individual right.
President Donald Trump announced the U.S. will restore steel and aluminum tariffs on Brazil and Argentina. Trump says he's responding to massive devaluations of those countries' currencies. Devaluations give their exports an advantage in international markets, but Trump says that's bad for U.S. farmers. The U.S. bought more steel from Brazil than any other country besides Canada in the first 9 months of this year.
President Trump won't participate in the House Judiciary Committee's impeachment hearing. White House counsel Pat Cipollone says they can't be expected to participate while all of the witnesses haven't been named. Judiciary Committee Chairman Gerald Nadler says Trump's participation will be part of his due process. The president possibly faces an impeachment vote before the end of December. If impeached, he'd become the 3rd president to be impeached.
Montana Governor Steve Bullock dropped out of the presidential race. Bullock's late entry into the campaign contributed to his money-raising woes. Despite being pressured to now run for the Senate, Bullock says he has no interest in the Senate. Bullock's term as governor ends next year.
Well, Itayetsi, I was home watching some YouTube videos last night, and guess who I saw is back online?
Goodness, I know who you're talking about, and let me tell you what she had to say. Olivia Jade Giannulli broke her social media silence on YouTube after a near 8-month absence. She hasn't appeared on social media since her parents, actress Lori Loughlin and Massimo Giannulli, were indicted in the college admissions scandal.
Part of me is like, should I come back to YouTube right now? Because it's been so long and I actually really miss it. Like, I genuinely miss filming. I feel like a huge part of me is just not the same.
They allegedly paid to try and get Olivia into USC. The video was met with mixed reactions by social media. Meanwhile, her parents' trial continues. Star Wars actor Billy D. Williams is being praised for using gender-fluid pronouns. Williams respects feminine and masculine pronouns. Williams claims to be a very soft person and isn't afraid to show it. Many fans expressed support for Williams on social media. Some said Williams inspires them for speaking out. Williams also shared that he's never tried to be anything except a person with a colorful personality. Will and Grace actress Shelley Morrison died from heart failure. Morrison played Karen Walker's maid Rosario Salazar. She was originally only meant to appear in one episode, but her lively spirit resonated with the audience so much that her character ended in 68 episodes. Her co-star Sean Hayes and Megan Mullally took to Instagram to remember the actress. Morrison's husband also added that she believed the best way to change hearts was through comedy. That's all for your entertainment news. I am Itayetsi Angeles.
Well, Ricardo, it seems that campus is always busy around this time of the year.
It really is. Let's take a look at this week's headlines with Sundial's Andrea Esparza. Andrea?
Thank you. It's our last issue of the Sundial this Wednesday, and make sure to pick it up. We're also hosting our final Sunset session this Thursday, and make sure to tune in online for new and updated content. That sums it up for the semester here at the Sundial. Thank you, and back to you.
More to come on Valley View News. Economic protests erupt in Latin America.
And flu season escalates as the virus spreads across several states.
Let's hear from Grisel Martin in our Digital Media Center. Grisel?
Several anti-government protests occurred throughout Latin America. Countries saw demonstrators supporting the cacerolazo. They banged pots and pans as they pushed for an end to economic inequality and violence towards indigenous populations. Dozens of people gathered in London to pay tribute to the victims of the terrorist knife attack in Fishmongers Hall. 2 people were killed, 3 others were injured. Vigils were also held in Cambridge at the Anglia Ruskin University. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson and London Mayor Sadiq Khan were among the many who showed up. 20 people died in a bus crash in Chile, 21 were injured. The packed bus was traveling along a curvy road near Tatal when it fell 98 feet into the ravine. A local prosecutor says the cause of the accident is still unknown. The injured were taken to nearby hospitals. China can shut down power in the Philippines whenever it wants. China owns 40% of the National Grid Corporation in the Philippines. Senator Risa Ontiveros says not having full control over power could sabotage elections, collapse the economy, and undermine national security. Right now, only foreign engineers can troubleshoot and control the grid's power transmission network. The 25th Climate Summit took place in Spain earlier this week. UN Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez says the planet is at a point of urgency. The Paris Climate Accord said the world is now 1.1 degrees warmer than during the Industrial Revolution. Global leaders are expected to come up with a plan to reduce carbon emissions in order to slow down climate change. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez says the issue can't be fixed without help. NATO leaders met in London for their summit to celebrate its 70th anniversary. The alliance's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg says that despite differences, the organization still manages to focus on its goal of protecting and defending each other. President Donald Trump also attends the summit. He's criticized the organization in the past. The U.S. reduced its contributions to NATO's operational budget from 22% to 16%. That is all for international news. Now back to you in the studio.
The Los Angeles Rams played their cards right on Sunday, beating the Arizona Cardinals in a 34-7 win. Robert Woods had a field day with 13 catches for 172 yards with a mistake-free game from Jared Goff. Los Angeles still has a chance to make the playoffs, being only one game out of a wild card spot. They host the Seattle Seahawks in LA later this week.
The LA Kings beat the Winnipeg Jets 2-1 Saturday. Joakim Ryan gave the Kings an early lead in the first period with a wrist shot from the left circle. Kings goalie Jack Campbell had a total of 33 saves. The Kings finished the month of November with 7 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss at home, which sets a team record for home wins in the month. The Kings will look to get their second straight win against rival Anaheim Ducks.
A Kentucky meat company recalled its bacon and turkey. Bluegrass Quality Meats is recalling more than 120,000 pounds of meat because it contains soy. The company did not list soy on the ingredients. The bacon and turkey items were produced between October 28 and November 2019. No illnesses from consuming the meats were reported.
A new study says 25% of young adults and a fifth of adolescents in the U.S. are pre-diabetic. Prediabetes is a condition where blood sugar levels are high, but not high enough to be diagnosed as type 2 diabetes. Experts say the numbers rose in the past 10 years. The CDC says roughly 84 million Americans have prediabetes. It also says 9 in 10 people don't know they're pre-diabetic. But experts say diet and exercise can prevent or delay type 2 diabetes.
The CDC reported high levels of flu-like illnesses in 7 states. Health officials say travel and family gatherings can help spread the flu. The CDC says the flu strain in Tennessee is especially bad. There have been 4 flu pandemics in the past century in the U.S. CDC officials say the flu vaccine is the best way to prevent flu.
Data from Gallup's Health and Healthcare Survey shows Americans are getting fatter, and they don't even know it. The survey shows Americans weigh more this decade than they did the last decade. 28% of Americans say they weigh 200 pounds or more between 2010 and 2019. A Gallup poll says fewer Americans consider themselves obese. The poll shows that 40% of men and women are satisfied with their current weight. The data was collected in November of each year.
In the past few weeks, we have reported on mental health challenges many people face. We reported on how social media can adversely affect a person's mental health. Also, we learned that some high school students put additional stress on themselves because of academic expectations. The final story in our series on mental health challenges looks at how a former gang member resorted to his religion to help him deal with the stress of leaving the gang.
Padre, Hijo, Espíritu Santo.
Counting his blessings is what's helped ex-gang member Jorge Ruiz make it through 5 years of sobriety.
I would beat my first wife. I didn't care about my family.
He says living in South Los Angeles made it easy to hang out with the wrong crowd. It gave him easy access to drugs.
In this part of Los Angeles, one sometimes has power over those who sell this trash. And what I would do is just ask for it.
He was on a dark path that led him in the wrong direction. But after opening the doors to a religious retreat, he changed his lifestyle.
I was never the same because that day I met someone who I thought I always knew, but I didn't truly know him. And his name is Jesus Christ.
Ruiz now attends church with many law-abiding citizens. A report prepared for the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration says mental illness is common with people who struggle with substance abuse and addiction. In 2016, 8.2 million adults had a mental illness while also abusing drugs.
I'd get nervous, anxious, and then I was diagnosed with vertigo, and at times I couldn't sleep.
Ruiz says the first months of being sober were the hardest. He credits God for giving him strength and being by his side when he needed help.
I say that if it was up to me, I'd still be doing the same thing. But because of him, I know that I don't want to go back to the same old stuff because I know it's a way of letting him down, and I don't want to let him down.
Ruiz says he wants to help other people who are struggling with substance abuse find their way to sobriety through religion. In South Los Angeles for Valley View News, I'm Carissa Preciado.
That concludes our three-part series on mental health challenges and stress. Reporter Timothy Tian investigated the effects social media has on mental health. Scott Gearman looked into the stress high school students undergo every day. And Carissa's report today shined light on the even darker side of mental health, the effects drugs can have on a person's mental well-being. You can review all three stories soon on the Valley View News website or on YouTube. Coming up on Valley View News, Amazon faces backlash over Christmas ornaments and bottle openers.
Also, find out how much Americans spent on Black Friday. Let's just say it's the biggest record yet. Stay with us.
When you're running your own business and taking care of your disabled brother, you tend to learn about responsibility pretty quickly.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking, now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Holiday season means a lot of shopping, but buyers should beware.
Here's Valley View's Alan Cardozo with social media and tech, and with more on that story. Alan?
Did you miss Black Friday? Well, Monday was your day to shop from the comfort of your home. But be careful which websites you're buying from. You might get scammed. The Better Business Bureau is warning shoppers about the risks associated with online shopping. Data from Adobe Analytics show that more than $9 million were expected to be spent on Monday. Some CSUN students share their thoughts on Cyber Monday.
I only use like the good, not like good sites, but the sites that you won't get scammed at. So like Amazon, Nike, the big brands, because you can't really get scammed on those. I don't really go on any shady sites like that.
Probably shop like by one item and then go back again, not just shop all together, like add everything to a cart and then just shop it off instantly. Because I mean, if you're gonna get scammed, imagine everything's just gonna go away. So it'll probably be do one by one, it's less probability to get scammed,
If prices look too good to be true, it could be a red flag for a scam. The organization has some tips for holiday shoppers. Keep your antivirus software updated, look for false advertising, and remember, if you use a credit card, you can track suspicious charges and dispute them later. Americans spent more than $7 billion online on Black Friday and another $4.2 billion on Thanksgiving Day, making this year's Black Friday the biggest yet. With Thanksgiving landing almost a week later than last year, retailers had extra time to ramp up their advertising. The increase in sales wasn't just from online shopping. Brick and mortar sales were up 4.2%. The biggest increase in sales were seen across electronics, appliances, sporting goods, and clothing. Video game companies are always looking for new ways to bring in customers. Loot boxes are the newest trend. Valley View News reporter Timothy Tian has the story on how some kids might be gambling in video games using these loot boxes.
Gambling usually happens in casinos, but the latest craze is gambling in video games, and your kids are probably doing it. Loot boxes are games of chance within the actual video game. You pay real money and win a random prize. Alejandro Williams says the goal is to show off.
You're spending money to essentially try to get a product just for for cosmetic value. It just makes your character look cooler.
Some people are worried they could be a gateway to gambling addiction in kids.
It's eye candy,
Williams says kids are drawn to the visuals.
It could be a diamond or something, but you want it. And it's just right there in front of you. Pretty colors? Yeah, you wouldn't want to get that.
And that's one of the problems. Loot boxes, like casinos, tend to use bright lights and loud noises to give off a sense of accomplishment.
That sense of accomplishment can be addicting to some gamers like Michael Espinoza.
I've spent about $200 a month, on just cosmetic skins, on just the loot boxes. I think what makes it so addicting is that the loot boxes are completely random. So if you don't get a certain skin that you want, it's like you just have to keep trying.
Yet some companies continue to deny loot boxes as a gambling feature. They give them alternative names like surprise mechanics. In Northridge, I'm Timothy Tien, Valley View News.
For the first time ever, Apple cut its iPhone prices. Since the iPhone was introduced in 2007, Apple sold more than 2 billion phones while raking in over $1 trillion in sales. Apple became the world's largest publicly traded company. Fast forward to last year, Apple sold 14 million fewer phones than in 2015. To keep revenue figures growing, the company raised prices to offset the growing costs. But it's not really working. Last quarter, Apple earned 10% less from iPhones than last year. That's more than $20 billion in losses. A major like art looks fun and easy, but expressing yourself through art isn't free. A study shows just how expensive it can be. Valley View reporter Luisa Rodriguez has more on the story.
Picking a major in college can be difficult. For the few who do know what they want to major in, like art, it's still hard academically and very expensive. CSUN has limited funding for art programs. Students must pay for most of their costs.
Here, I would have to buy a lot of materials. It's supplied by me money-wise.
A study by tradeschool.net found that majoring in art is the most expensive major when compared to computer science, business administration, education, and nursing. The study looked at the cost of tuition, fees, books, and supplies. Here at CSUN, some students don't have enough money to buy brand name supplies, so they opt for a cheaper alternative. This can affect their project grade.
I don't know. I just asked the professor what they have here that I can use, which is like they have clay.
Okay.
So that's like a good thing to have.
We were learning, those were my first cups.
The school does help with providing some supplies. Still, students often find themselves paying a lot out of pocket. Some equipment the school provides is outdated and in need of repair. Most love their major, so they make do with what they have.
Because it's their passion, you know. I go to art because it's my passion.
These studies change the narrative that art majors are a simpler alternative. It takes creativity, passion, and money to supply this major. I'm Luisa Rodriguez with Valley View News.
That's it for social media and tech news. I'm Alan Cardoza. Luis, back to you.
A hotel in Spain is getting really bougie this Christmas. Kempinski Hotel Bahia near Marbella is decked out with millions of dollars worth of jewels, about $15 million worth. The hotel says it features jewelry from Bulgari, Cartier, and Chanel. It also features 3D printed chocolate peacocks, ostrich eggs, and bottles of perfumes. So not only is it worth more than an average tree, but it smells better too. That's all for us here at Valley View News. Thank you for watching. I'm Luis Zuniga.
And I'm Ricardo Sandoval. For news any time of the day, go to our website, sundial.csun.edu. See you next semester.